All right, folks. The Democrats' House is divided, and you might be a little surprised at where the pressure on Joe Biden to resign is coming from and where it's not coming from. So when you think troublemaker, insurgent, rabble rouser within the party, you don't think of Michael Bennet. In fact, many of you probably forget who Michael Bennet was. Michael Bennet, United States Senator, who did run for president in 2020 briefly. Here he is telling CNN he doesn't think Joe Biden can win.
Dana Bash reported that you, Senator John Tester, and Senator Sherrod Brown all said during that lunch that you don't think President Biden can win in 2024. Is that true?
Well, it's true that I said that, and I did say that behind closed doors, and you guys and others asked whether I had said it, and that is what I said. So I figured I should come here and say it publicly.
Why do you think he can't win in November?
I just think this race is on a trajectory that is very worrisome if you care about the future of this country. Joe Biden was 9 points up at this time. The last time he was running, Hillary Clinton was 5 points up. This is the first time in more than 20 years that a Republican president has been up in this part of the campaign. Donald Trump is on track, I think, to win this election and maybe win it by a landslide and take with him the Senate and the House. And so for me, this isn't a question about polling. It's not a question about politics. It's a moral question about the future of our country. And I think it's critically important for us to come to grips with what we face if together we put this country on the path of electing Donald Trump again.
Okay, so there you have it from Michael Bennet, fairly normie, fairly centrist Democrat.
I am convinced they are using her to prepare the public for AI anchors.
Maybe, could be. Yes. Here's Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi being asked whether she supports Biden staying in.
Does he have your support to be the head of the Democratic ticket?
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short.
Now, keep in mind, he already said he's made his call to stay in. So when she says we encourage him to make that decision, she's saying we encourage him to drop out of the race because he's already made the decision. He's already said, I'm staying in and that's final. She's acting like he hasn't said that because she wants him to say the other thing. So this is a coded way of saying time is running out. You have to get the fuck out of this race.
I think overwhelming support of the caucus. It's not for me to say. I'm not the head of the caucus anymore. But he's beloved.
Sure you're not, Nancy.
He is respected, and people want him to make that decision, not me.
He has said he has made the decision. He has said firmly this week he is going to run. Do you want him to run?
I want him to do whatever he decides to do.
That's a no.
And that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with.
No other way to interpret that but no. And we see now some signals. Hakeem Jeffries, the supposed leader of the Democratic Party, we suspect Pelosi still throws a whole lot of weight around behind the scenes, but he is the top-ranking Democrat in the House. Jeffries plans to relay Dem concerns to Joe Biden. Here we have Chuck Schumer, who first said he was all in on Joe. Axios scoop: Schumer open to dumping Biden in 2024. Here's our friend Richie Torres. Top Democrats who days ago defended Biden are changing their tunes. Representative Richie Torres seemed to change his public stance on Wednesday, urging Democrats to look at the cold, hard numbers. Again, a high-profile Democrat. Last week, no, it's Joe. Now it's, well, we better take a second look at this. Torres once chided Biden doubters, but said Wednesday that Dems must assess hard numbers. Senator Richard Blumenthal supports Biden, but said he's deeply concerned about the election. The statements came after new polling indicated Dems were losing ground in key swing states. All right, so you have the centrists, the team players, the loyalists saying we need a change here. What about the ruckus makers? What about the squad? What about the insurgents? What about our old friends who we helped get in there to shake things up and take advantage of chaotic situations like this to actually push through a more progressive agenda and personnel team even at a moment like this? Let's see what they're saying. AOC, you're up first.
President over the weekend. I have spoken with him extensively. He made clear then, and he has made clear since, that he is in this race.
Oh.
The matter is closed.
Oh.
He had reiterated that this morning. He has reiterated that to the public. Joe Biden is our nominee. He is not leaving this race. He is in this race, and I support him. Now, what I think is critically important right now is that we focus on what it takes to win in November, because he is running against Donald Trump, who is a man with 34 felony convictions that has committed 34 felony crimes, and not a single Republican has asked for Donald Trump to not be the nominee. I'm here to win on this democracy. I'm here to win in November. And what's critically important is what the president, I believe that the president needs to do, and I have communicated this, what the president and the White House should do in order to make sure that we win in November. And that is making sure that we pivot and working and increasingly commit to the issues that are critically important to working people across this country. How are we going to expand Medicare? How are we going to expand Social Security? How are we going to provide relief to people's rent and mortgages? And if we can do that and continue our work on student loans, secure a ceasefire, and bring those dollars back into investing in public policy, then that's how we win in November. That's what I'm committed to, and that's what I want to make sure that we secure.
But what do you say to members who say they need to see more from the president?
Well, that is all up to their own individual, determination. I respect everyone's opinion, but I'm here to make sure that we win in November, and that's my focus.
And what about young voters? What about
All right, so
where the fuck do you get the balls?
Exactly. She's saying it's a settled matter. It's Biden. Get used to it. What about Cory Bush? Biden right now.
Right now, the same right-wing influences that are trying to take me down are trying to take down President Biden.
AIPAC?
So that's where my head is. But I'm listening to my colleagues and I'm listening to my constituents. At the end of the day, we got to beat back these right-wing influences.
All right, so
it's all right-wing influencer. Those pesky right-wing influencers going after Joe Biden, like George Clooney, Rob Reiner.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, maybe Hakeem Jeffries now, Richard Blumenthal. All right, what about Bernie? Let's see.
Politically,
Bernie
can he count on you to be on the campaign trail for
He's
him
always courageous.
this summer and fall? Yeah. Can he count on your support?
I've already done 6 events in Wisconsin. We've been to New York. I've been to Ohio. And let me say this, and maybe the most important point, Bob, I want to make this morning. What we are talking about now is not a Grammy Award contest for Best Singer. Biden is old. He's not as articulate as he once was. I wish he could jump up the steps on Air Force One. He can't. What we have got to focus on is policy. Whose policies have and will benefit the vast majority of the people in this country? Who has the guts to take on corporate America? Who is talking about expanding Medicare so we cover dental, hearing, and vision?
Who's talking about
Who's talking about raising the cap on the taxes that people pay into Social Security?
He's talking about all this. First of all, he's not talking about all this. He's talking about
January
January
6th.
6th.
On the back of a napkin. I was eating with him once, and he drew it out. It was a little hard to understand because his mind was already gone. Hang on, I didn't mean to say that part.
Exactly. I mean, first of all, he's not talking about any of this. He's talking about January 6th. He's talking about the suckers and losers thing. He's not talking about any of this, and to the extent that he ever talked about it,
I haven't heard him say
it was
anything.
always bullshit. Yeah, it was always bullshit.
He might have said a little bit of that in 2020, because as we'll see, he was put in there to beat you.
Exactly. So look at that. Look at the irony of that. You have Michael Bennet, centrist Democrat, coming out saying we can't win, we need a change. You have Nancy Pelosi saying in language that everyone in Washington, D.C. understands, he's got about a week to get out of the race or we're fucked. You've got Hakeem Jeffries going from we're backing Biden to I'm going to relay the message to him that he's got to get out. You got Schumer going from I'm backing Biden to I'm open to getting rid of Biden. You have Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut. You got all these right-wing Mark Warner, who stood down, but he was organizing a block of people saying you got all the most right-wing Democrats are saying he's got to go. And the squad, the insurgents, they're backing him.
Yep. If you needed more evidence that their role in the system is to sheepdog people into the Democratic Party so that they don't stop voting Democrat or, God forbid, wind up with the Green Party or some other shit, there you go.
Right.
There you go. What other explanation for these supposedly progressive people to be backing Joe Biden this way? That is their function. Their function is to keep people who think of themselves as left, and yes, qualification, quite intentional, think of themselves as left inside the Democratic Party. By talking that shit, Medicare, healthcare, they know that shit's not happening. They know Joe Biden said if Medicare for all reached his desk, he would veto it.
Right.
So what are you talking about? He broke a railroad strike, and so did you, AOC. Come on. Who are these people?
Of course. Now, Russell, you found an Axios piece that speaks to some of the Biden loyalists trying to hold on here.
Okay, so this is part of the reason I say they don't know whether to shit or wind their wristwatch. It's not as clear what's gonna happen behind the scenes as it might appear, although the momentum definitely seems to be moving in the direction of getting him out, I will say. This is what's happening, part of what's happening behind the scenes. Just before House Democrats' Tuesday morning Come to Jesus meeting on President Biden's path forward, a smaller group of swing district Democrats held what sources described as a despondent gathering with actual tears. The bloc of battleground House Democrats is one of the last firm pockets of a rapidly disintegrating movement on Capitol Hill to get Biden off the ticket. One shell-shocked lawmaker who was present at the meeting would offer only one word to characterize it: intense. Another described the mood as pretty much unanimous that Biden has got to step down, adding, "There were actual tears from people, and not for Biden." Democrats' full caucus meeting was far less unanimous, with lawmakers both defending Biden and airing concerns about his ability to take on former President Trump, attendees told Axios. One House Democrat who was in both meetings said, "Most of our caucus is still with him, meaning he'll stay in, which sucks for our country." Going in and out of the meeting, several House Democrats who have previously raised concerns about Biden said they are now with him. Quote, "Whether or not I have concerns is beside the point. He is going to be our nominee, and we all have to support him," said Representative Jerry Nadler, Democrat, New York. Biden enjoyed his first sustained show of support on Capitol Hill on Monday, with dozens of House and Senate Democrats saying publicly they support him staying on the ticket. On Monday evening, Biden joined a call with Congressional Black Caucus members, his strongest base of support on Capitol Hill, to cement their backing. Late Monday night, a House Democrat who is deeply skeptical of Biden acknowledged to Axios that Democrats were folding all over the place and becoming resigned to Biden holding all the cards here and us having no real say in the matter. As someone who wanted to bring the reckoning and is really disappointed that it's over, trust me, it's over, the lawmaker added. Biden's letter to congressional Democrats on Monday morning, stating firmly he's staying in the race and telling them to end discussion of him withdrawing, appears to have galvanized lawmakers. Lloyd Doggett, one of a half-dozen House Democrats who have urged Biden to drop out, conceded to Axios he clearly did a preemptive effort to try to discourage any questions with his letter. Quote, "I think there is a pretty strong consensus we need to close ranks," said Rep. Jared Huffman, who's publicly raised grave concerns about Biden's political strength. When there's this kind of show of force, it's hard to imagine people are going to speak up against him, said one House Democrat. Said another, "They've outflanked us." After the full caucus meeting on Tuesday, the lawmaker who told Axios on Monday night that the revolt is over said the gathering only confirmed that view. There were no surprises here, the lawmaker said. Okay, now, to be fair, subsequently, Axios did another article talking about these more so-called centrist Democrats who are swinging in the other direction. So it seems like since this was written, a lot of the caucus members who were behind Biden are starting to change their mind. But I do think this is an important window into what's going on back there. It's not as simple as, yeah, no, we need to get rid of Biden. What do we do? You know, I always forget. I can't remember who said this. There was some documentary, and it might have been Michael Moore, but I don't think so. Said what really strikes you if you really meet the people in Congress, if you really interact with these people, they're incredibly stupid. Most of them are really stupid. There you go. There you go. Who would be saying this is our president, we need to close ranks, other than a really stupid person?
I think what's creating a lot of hesitancy is the reality that they're almost certainly going to lose anyway. And whenever you lose an election, there's inevitably going to be Monday morning quarterbacking. You're going to look back and say, should we have done this? Should we have not done that? And this decision is such a major decision. I mean, this is the most consequential decision in a presidential campaign that any candidates had to make in decades, right? So this is clearly going to be, if you lose the election, people are going to look back at this moment and say, should they have swapped him out if they do swap him out, or if he stays in, or should he have stayed in if they do swap him out? In other words, you're almost certainly going to lose anyway, which means that whatever you do now is likely to look stupid in 4 months. But it's not. The fact is you have really no chance anyway. And I think what the smart money people are saying is that, look, we're going to lose anyway. We can at least go through the motions with Harris. We can't even go through the motions with Biden. And it's too damaging to the down ballot people to force them to gaslight people about Joe Biden for the next 4 months. So with Kamala, yes, we'll lose. And yes, the media is going to be asking when she loses, should they have stuck with Joe? That's just going to happen. You're going to have hundreds of op-eds written in papers around the world. Was it the right call to swap him out? You have to have the fortitude to know, if you're one of these party insiders, yes, it was, because we weren't going to win anyway. We just had to keep the party intact in the sense that we could convince people we're at least putting our best foot forward. We're at least going through the motions of doing the campaign. Biden cannot appear anywhere now without the story being, did he malfunction or did he not? And you just can't run a race that way. You cannot do it. You can't make it. You can't do it.
That's really the issue. Trying to cauterize the damage and the fallout to the down ballot races. So for that reason, they're highly motivated. I just think he might absolutely refuse. And if that happens, I don't know if they have the balls to do what's required.
We will see. I think we're going to get an answer pretty soon.
Please clap.